We ready to go? Okay, good morning. The meeting of the ALRB is called to order. Let me call the roll. Assembly member, that's funny. Board member Hall.
Present.
Wow, okay, board member Lightstone.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Now, let me call, but the next thing is to approve the minutes of the August 20th meeting.
I'll move the minutes.
Ralph moves the minutes. Isidore
I'll
seconds.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. So we're, just for the public, we have a quorum based on the fact that we have two people in our Sacramento office and one of our board members, board member Hall, is in a publicly noticed location in a government building in Glendale, California. So that allows us to have a quorum with only two people in Sacramento, but one can be remote. With us today is our Executive Secretary, Santiago Avila Gomez, General Counsel, Julia Montgomery, and Board Counsel, Laura Hike, and that's who's speaking today. Okay. We will hold on. I'm a little slow on my script here. Okay. All right. Now we're going to move to our various reports. The first report is the acting chair's report, which is me. I have nothing to report other than to say that I will be acting chair from today until September 26th, when the real acting chair, member Flores, returns from her vacation. I will do my best not to screw anything up in the meantime. Okay, the next agenda item is the executive secretary's report on elections, unfair labor practice cases, and hearings. Santiago, do you have a report today?
I'll begin with complaints. The first is a settled complaint, and Valadale Dairy, and that case number is 2023 CE 028 VIS. We received a notice of settlement and request to take off calendar from the general counsel's office on August 22nd. So that matter has been removed from our hearing calendar and being held in abeyance. The next matter is Mucci Farms Inc., also known as Mucci Tehachapi Inc., and that case number is 2025 CE 035. And that involves the commodity of tomatoes in Kern County, and that complaint was filed August 22nd. We did receive an answer and will be setting for hearing later this week. Turning to administrative orders issued since the last board meeting, there is Solo Mio Inc., ALRB admin order number 2025-10 that issued on August 25th, and it was an order granting the general counsel's request for subpoena enforcement. Case number there is 2023 CE 002 VIS. Next, Synagro Farms issued on August 25th, 2025. That ALRB admin order number is 2025-11. There, the board issued its order approving the formal bilateral settlement agreement that was submitted to resolve the board's prior decision in 48 ALRB number 2, and the case number there is 2017 CE 008 SAL. And finally, the third administrative order is Wonderful Nurseries LLC, issued on August 27th. The admin order number is 2025-12. There, the board order approved the investigative hearing examiner's recommendation that the board seek judicial enforcement of the United Farm Worker of America subpoena to Maria Esther Gutierrez. Case number there is 2024-RM-002. Finally, turning to pending matters, Mucci Farms Inc., also known as Mucci de Chapi, probably not pronouncing that correctly, guys, Inc. Case number 2025 CE 035 and 036. There's general counsel's request for enforcement of subpoena ducis tecum that was filed on August 22nd, with an opposition filed on August 29th, I believe. Sorry, lost track of the date there. But it is now briefing complete and pending before the board. This report, as well as the administrative orders I referenced, are found at the ALRB's website under the meetings tab. And that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from members? Hearing none, I'll move on to our litigation report with Chief Board Counsel Laura Height. Laura?
I just have a very brief update, and that is that there's been an extension of time. The parties have stipulated to an extension of time with respect to the responses to and hearing on the ALRB's motion to dismiss in the Olive Hill wonderful matters in the Federal District Court. Under the new schedule, the plaintiffs and intervener plaintiffs' motion opposition to our motion to dismiss are due September 8th. ALRB's reply is going to be due September 29th, and the hearing is pushed out now to October 20th. And that's the only update. So not a huge extension, but a little bit later than we thought on that hearing date. So that's all.
Okay, thank you. The next agenda item is a general counsel's report with General Counsel Julia Montgomery.
Good morning, acting chair, members. Glad to be here. I'll start by reporting on a couple of settlements, and then I will move to some highlights from Labor Rights Week, which was last week. First of all, as the executive secretary mentioned, the board approved a settlement for Sinagro Farms. And in that case, Region 1 settled with the respondent in this matter to pay amounts owed per the board order, finding respondent liable for retaliating against farm workers who complained about not getting proper wage statements and other work-related concerns. The board also found that the respondent willfully misclassified the workers as independent contractors and ordered that civil penalties be issued under Labor Code Section 226.8. A compliance hearing was set to commence on August 19th for back pay and civil penalties. But prior to that, the parties entered into a settlement agreement on August 14th in which respondent agreed to pay $224,674 to 6 workers for back pay interest and excess tax liability, as well as $35,000 in civil penalties to the Labor and Workforce Development Agency. And the board, as I mentioned, did approve the settlement last week. So kudos to our staff who worked on that case in Region 1 for getting that done, and we'll be able to shortly distribute funds to workers. We also have a settlement out of Region 2 for a complaint against Valladao Dairy. And in that case, a dairy worker in Kings County filed several charges at the end of 2023 alleging retaliatory discharge and a change in their employment status for speaking up about unfair distribution of work tasks. The parties settled with the ALRB, and the company will pay the worker $11,387 in back wages and an additional $3,000 payment in lieu of reinstatement. And the region also negotiated for the standard noticing remedies and a supervisor training for the supervisors at the dairy to inform them about their obligations under the Agricultural Labor Relations Act and workers' rights. So congratulations to Region 2 for that settlement. And as I mentioned, last week was Labor Rights Week, which is an annual event the Mexican consulate really spearheads. And we had staff all over the state at different consulates doing all sorts of events and outreach to communities. And we had multiple Facebook Live presentations in which our staff presented. We also had several people doing live presentations to workers at the various consulate offices. I did one myself last Monday in Sacramento. We also had a really wonderful event at the Mexican consulate in Sacramento last Monday, in which Dolores Huerta, UFW co-founder Dolores Huerta, was honored by the consulate, and they named a wing of their office after her that displays some wonderful artwork. And she was there in person and accepted the award, addressed the crowd, and really said a lot of inspiring words. And we had a few ALRB staff attending as well. So it's a really nice uplifting event to kick off Labor Rights Week. We also had staff working with the consulates to do presentations in San Jose, Oxnard, San Francisco, Fresno, and then there were other staff who appeared in communities and the mobile consulates, where the consulate goes around and goes to more outlying communities to reach workers. In addition, on Labor Day, this past Monday, we had two of our attorneys in our Oxnard office attend a Tri-County Central Labor Council Labor Day picnic. And the organizers of this event estimate that over 1,000 people attended. And that, I guess, was based on the number of food sites they served. They apparently ran out of food and had to go get more. They had a lot more people showing up than they anticipated, and there were a lot of farm workers there, in addition to 15 other organizations besides the ALRB that tabled at the event. The AFL-CIO president was there, as well as UFW staff and UFW president Teresa Romero, and I believe our former acting labor secretary of both US and California, Julie Sue, was also there. And so there were a lot of people who attended, and our attorneys reported that they distributed over 200 of our wallet cards and pamphlets to farm workers who were there. And they spoke with people while they were standing in line for the food, and reported that some of the folks there were already familiar with the ALRB, but others were learning about us for the first time. One person expressed gratitude for the services we provided, and said that we had helped them in the past, so that was nice to hear. Our attorneys also spoke with staff from other organizations and made some new connections, and apparently there's some talk about getting together and doing some presentations to each other's staff to learn more about one another and see how we can collaborate. So it sounds like it was a great event, and it's also heartening to hear that despite the climate of fear in which people are existing right now, that folks were still coming out and coming together on Labor Day. So anyway, that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, thank you for the report.
Our next agenda item is the Administrative Services Report, but there will not be an Administrative Services Report today. Next is the Legislative Report. I'm going to give the Legislative Report. Basically, we are today in the last week of the legislative session, and which ends on Friday. And so all bills that are intended to go to the governor need to go there by Friday. Then the governor has about a month to sign or veto legislation, or I suppose let them become law without his signature. That doesn't happen very often. There are 3 bills that we're following, and I'll just briefly go over them. AB 845 is a bill that requires coordination between enforcement agencies of the labor agency, including the ALRB, the Labor Commissioner, and Cal OSHA. The idea with that bill is that when we receive complaints, we will forward them to the other agencies and work with them to make sure that, the old statement, where there's smoke, there's fire. That's the underlying concept here, that maybe if there's a violation of one part of the labor code, there might be a violation of another, and that we should be fully coordinated with the other enforcement agencies. That passed the Senate Appropriations Committee suspense file last week with some clarifying amendments. The second bill we were looking at and following was AB 1109, which would have created a union member business agent privilege similar to the attorney-client privilege. That bill did not pass the Senate Appropriations suspense file, and so that bill is dead for the year. It can be revived next year, but it can't move this year. The last bill that we're following is AB 288, which would permit the Public Employment Relations Board to enforce the rights of private sector workers if the NLRB ceases to function effectively, or if the NLRA is declared unconstitutional. It passed out of the Senate Appropriations Committee with amendments, one of which is designed to clarify that the ALRB's jurisdiction will not be affected by the bill should it ever be come into use. We are currently, the labor agency is currently in discussions with the sponsors of the bill about some further clarifying amendments that that we and other folks are looking for. And we'll know by the 16th the status of all of the bills, whether they've gone to the governor or not, and we'll report further at that time. Lastly, there's no regulations committee report today. So the next agenda item is public comment. Members of the public who have contacted the board either by email or phone and asked to be placed in the public comment queue will be called in the order received. If you did not previously contact the board and wish to make public comment, you still may do so by raising your hand in the chat, I guess, or so that our executive secretary can recognize you. We ask that you also provide your name and organization if applicable. This information will become part of the official record of today's proceedings. If you wish to speak more than once, please alert staff and have your name placed back in the queue. If you have technical difficulties when you are called, please reach out to us via email and we will come back to you. Please be advised that the board is unable to adjudicate, comment, or resolve any pending course matter during this public hearing. Mr. Executive Secretary, do we have any members of the public that have expressed interest in making a comment?
Not before the meeting. At this time, I'll ask that our attendees, if they wish to provide public comment, to use the raise hand feature in Zoom. And we will call on you and open your line. Give it a few minutes here, or moments, as it may be. No hands raised.
All right, so public comment is closed. The board will now recess into closed session. After closed session, we will return with any announcements and then adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
On.
Okay, we are back from our closed session and now in open session again. The only thing left is announcements and in a correction of what I said earlier in the meeting, our next public meeting is scheduled for June 17th. I mean, God, September 17th. Really wanna, there's something about me, I really don't want to have that meeting, apparently. Anyway, September 17th, and with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Ralph,
Second.
seconded by Isidore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries and we are adjourned.
Take care.